Welcome back to Vintage HLC Show and Tell. Today we're going to look at treatment H-88, also called spreading rose on the Hudson shape. Hudson is a fancy embossed shape that was introduced in 1908. It was made both in Newell, West Virginia and East Liverpool, Ohio. It's a very easy shape to find. So we're going to look at this decal. As I said, it's sometimes called spreading rose. Most of the treatments on Hudson are pretty simple with these little gold stamps. Sometimes there's gold stamps and a colored line, or these small sprigs. But H-88 is rather dramatic. And in a way, it's the first treatment on Hudson, even though it's number 88. We'll look at that because when Hudson was introduced, again, that's 1908, the first treatments were actually picked up from the Angelus shape, which is its predecessor. So for example, if we look at treatment, let's say H-83, it says rose and lily of the valley, semi-border, fine gold line. Well, if we go back and look at AX-83, which is the Angelus, it says rose and lily of the valley, semi-border, fine gold line. So these first treatments all come from the Angelus. And there are gaps, so they didn't take every single one of them. For example, we've got H10 and then we've got H15, so 11, 12, 13, and 14 from the Angelus weren't used. H10 is daisy sprig gold stencil, full gold. It's a gold stamp of a daisy. It's actually a really common treatment. And AX10, daisy sprig gold stencil, full gold. And we see 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 in the Angelus. But when we go back over to Hudson, they just used H10 and H15. So there are a lot of gaps. They didn't use them all. We go back over to the Angelus, it stops at AX87. We come over to Hudson, and it picks up with H88. So that's why I say, in a way, H88 is the first treatment of Hudson in that it's the first decal that was developed specifically for the Hudson shape. H88 is described as rose decal, all over spreading spray, gold edge, and verge. And there's a variation, H88 and a half, rose decal, all over spreading spray, gold edge only, so there's no verge line. And the verge line they're talking about is the inside gold line. We see it on the hollowware on the lids. We have an inside line, that's the verge line, and then we have the gold edge. So there's a Hudson teapot with our H-88 treatment. There's the Hudson marking. There's no date code. We don't see date codes until we get to around 1912. H-88 on a 10-inch platter, or as they were called back in this time, they were just called simply dishes. So this is a 10.5-inch dish. The gold edge line, it's worn off. There are some remnants there. Again, no date code on this one. Then we have pieces that have the verge line, but no gold. And this is a special treatment. It is KR85. And a lot of the K treatments, and I don't mean Quaker, but a lot of these KR treatments and KB treatments, they're more for second quality wear. So we don't have the gold edge. This is the same. We have a verge line, but not the gold edge. No date code. So this is from 1908 to about 1912. Look at the marking on the covered dish. Same time period, excuse me. 1908 to 1912. It's interesting this wasn't used on the Angelus. At least it's not on the Angelus listings, because it could have fit because it's a scallop shape, just like Hudson. Although it did appear on King Charles, which is a little unusual because King Charles and Hudson had very little in common. You see the verge line. There's no gold edge on this one. Inside decal on the lip. There's the King Charles back stamp, the circle mark. This is a 24s jug, a medium-sized jug for King Charles. Not an easy piece to find. The treatment number for that would be the same as this one, the KR85. When you go backwards, you just use the same treatment. And what I mean by going backwards, King Charles is a shape that precedes Hudson. So when you go backwards like that, you just use the same treatment number. You don't create a new one. And then we see it on a specialty platter with this luster trim on Genesee. And there's the Genesee back stamp, and this is from 1917. So the decal's still being used, probably a scrap print in this case. So it will appear in specialty platters and bowls. I've even seen it on a beverage set with the octagon jug and soda mugs. So that's going to be it. This is a really nice decal treatment. Again, H-88, spreading rose. Not terribly common, but it is one of the more dramatic treatments that you will find on Hudson. Next time we will look at New York World's Fair pieces from 1939 and 1940.